We are live. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Node.js Technical Steering Committee meeting of the 30th of July, 2025. I'm joined here by my fellow Node.js Technical Steering Committee member, plus Jacob. I don't know how to pronounce your surname. I'm sorry, Jacob Jingleheimer.
Not actually my surname. It's Jacob Smith. Just Jacob
Oh, okay.
Jingleheimer is my screen name.
Okay, perfect. Jacob. Okay, perfect. By Jacob, that is here to discuss one of the issues, and that will be it. Let's start with our usual agenda. Let me, and with the announcements, there is, if you plan to come to JSConf US, there are still the allotment for the rooms at the hotel are running out. So because the rooms are running out, you might have a nicer experience if you are staying outside. So if you plan to book and come, please make your reservation now. Also, keep in mind that there is collaborator-specific discount code for all OpenJS collaborators. So if you are one of the maintainers, you can enjoy a nice discount available plus round. Okay. Also, next one up, please remember to nominate people for. Oh, sorry. Are there any other announcements? I think there is one more node. The late node 22.18 is delayed due to Mac OS infra issues. And note that this release is highly anticipated because it will have strip types enabled by default. Whenever it comes to the matter. Now, a few reminders. I will remember to nominate people for the contribution spotlight. Next one up is the CPC and board meeting updates. I have a couple actually between the board and the CPC. They are somewhat connected, and so the first one is on. There is a little bit of a debate right now on AI-assisted development and how that is. And what are the foundation policies around this? There is a little bit of literature available from the Linux Foundation that you can check, and there is this issue open and a lot of discussion happening. If you are interested in the topic, you can join. There's going to be a new collab space to discuss exactly this topic, and it's actually, if it's something that matters to you, it's important. Let me add this to the minute. And so. Okay. Next one up is issue is PR 59096 on the Node.js node repo. I am pasting it here in the chat. Cool. This issue, I think it came to this as a block from Yagith, and I think it's heading to a vote. Because I don't think Yagith I, 5 9 0 9 6 on the Node.js node repo. I am pasting it here in the chat. Cool. This issue, I think it came to the as a block from Yagith, and I think it's heading to a vote. Because I don't think Yagith. is heading to a vote. Or wait a second. James is last week to defer another week. Okay, so nothing to do this time, but we will head to a vote next week in case things cannot be resolved.
The primary disagreement there is whether or not it should be an automatic revert when something lands by mistake. Is that the crux of the disagreement? I thought if you knew from the top of your head, otherwise.
To be honest, there's so many comments, I have no idea.
Okay, well, maybe it gets clearer when there's a vote.
I think the primary concern is that if the revert should be fast checked. So, like if someone objects the reverts, what happens for then?
Okay.
Yeah, to be honest, I am okay with the new text. I was okay with the previous text. So
I think it's Yagis that's blocking right now.
Okay, so anyway.
Honest, I think we should move these things quicker to a vote, otherwise we just make them faster.
Yeah, exactly. Matteo, table for going for a vote. For a vote. Follow James' advice. Next week. Okay. Next issue is issue 1113 for the releases. Shift Node.js to annual manual releases and shorten the LTS. I think this is happening. It's having a very good discussion on GitHub. I've been following. I hope all of you have been following, because setting their release timeline is one of the prerogative of the TSC. Okay, so now I have please engage in the topic if you don't. I don't know how we plan to decide, how do we want to decide this, because there's a lot of various options. So, and I really like, Antoine, your graphs and your things that you've done. These were amazing. So how do we want to decide this? Does everybody has an opinion? No.
Maybe it's worth mentioning that it was discussed during the release working group, and one point that stood out is that we should, like, the release group should probably try to define what stability would mean for, like, we discussed introducing alpha releases, etc. And probably it would be clearer if we had some sort of definition of what stability would be we would be guaranteeing for those releases. And we should also try to list all the sometimes conflicting points that we want, goals that we want to achieve with the modifying our release schedule. So we can decide on there's a lot of conflicting goals, it seems. So we can't really make a decision if we don't have all of those in mind. So we know the trade-offs.
Okay. So I would table this for this meeting, and in case there is a question from release, meeting. But if there is, okay. Is there anything else we need to discuss this? I don't think so, right? Okay. Oh, there is one attendee, Philip. Okay, promoting. Cool. Next issue is the interim TSC election, issue 1763 on the Node.js TSC repo. I think this is ongoing for the vote. Okay, I cannot participate in closing the vote due to a bug in my computer right now. I need to reboot. Please, you should put in your cast. Please, you run the command to close the vote. Okay, we have enough people here that can run that command, so please do so. Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. While that happens, I need to let's talk about update charter with communication responsibility issue 1754. There is a few blockers here. Darshan, what's the status of this? Should we go to a vote, or there is also a PR, an opposite PR from James, if I recall correctly. So,
I believe this needs a bit more discussion. So there are a couple of blocks in here, as you mentioned, and probably the most contentious one is this one. I shared the link in the chat. So this is the part about documenting that the TSC can engage with whatever communicating party there is that's communicating something that's inconsistent with whatever the project has consensus on. So we had a bit of discussion in the last week's TSC meeting, and I believe the conclusion was that James is going to take a look again. So I also wanted to discuss it with you folks too. Like, Matteo, you weren't there in the meeting, so I wanted to hear if you have any thoughts on that part. And Joy's also here, so she can also help out with the rest.
so my discussion is it's so this is the first problem. Okay, first of all, there is the you can't really do marketing by committee, unfortunately. Okay, it doesn't work. Okay, otherwise we end up in a situation where nobody is publishing anything on the social media and promoting the project in any way. Okay, because all of us, a lot of different people, have different view on what needs to be published or not. Okay, we tried doing marketing by committee; it didn't end well. Okay, so I don't think it's an experiment. I personally don't think that's an experiment that we should be doing again. Okay. Having said that, that's my problem here. Okay, which is essentially like the concern, like how that approach would happen is if if there is, for me, if there is a mistake in communication, okay, if there is a mistake in the communication and it's something that is being put on social media that does not reflect our consensus, we should, before to that, reach out what that consensus is. And that would take essentially, I don't know, between a couple of weeks and a month to get there. And that is already gone. So I'm not like, I just don't see how that would that would help in that manner. Okay. Yeah, Johi?
I don't think that's what the current text is proposing to do. Like, you have the TSC approve, like getting consensus on everything before anything go out. The text is proposing that if the TSC is aware that something already is out, needs correction, we remind them that it needs correction, and it's up to whoever has the access to correct that to decide how or what they can do to correct. And it's not about marketing, it's about communication in general. So if if the communication is out on the official account, we can remind people. It's like not consistent with what's already happening on GitHub, so we need to either delete that or we follow up with a reply, whatever. But it's something we will do, like what we already do if we notice that is happening, or if someone is speaking, kind of being perceived as speaking on behalf of the project on the social media, about something that's like actually different from what people are actually talking about on GitHub, then we remind them and they will do that. Or if someone goes to a standard buddy and they speak on behalf of the project, we actually have a repository that's like trying to already enforce this process. So if someone speaks on behalf of the project without collecting consensus, we will remind them. But it's always up to whoever doing this to ensure that they do this. When we notice people aren't doing this, we remind them. But it's not something that we will proactively do. We just, make sure that you do this. It's really on you. Like, it's not just TSC. It's like everybody who's trying to, like there are always needs for somebody to like be a delegate or like try to collect consensus from the project to go out and communicate with the external world. We just kind of put it out there that whoever doing this need to be responsible of being consistent with the consensus. And when it's inconsistent, it can be anybody's job to like remind them, oh, it's inconsistent, but it tends to always be the TSC in practice. That's always TSC that's doing this job. It can be like somebody else, like the foundation. Like if you ask me who is supposed to get paid to do this job, it will be the foundation. But I don't think they'll likely have staff to like always taking care of all of this to make sure that it's consistent. And it's kind of like not really fair because foundation is not just Node.js. So in practice, it's always been TSC who has been trying to make sure that it's consistent and remind people.
Joey, can you please, you spoke a lot, I could not type all of it. Can you please write something on your point? Sorry.
Okay, I can type it on the
minutes. Sorry about this. So okay, I understand now what this is trying to say.
If there's like different understanding of the current proposed text, I think it would be great if you can provide some suggestion. But I think the current wording is probably already pretty clear that we're talking about postmortem. It like becomes aware of that's already inconsistent. It will engage with the communicating party,
I
To help align it.
okay. I would change. Okay, I'm going to propose some text change here. Okay.
Yeah, I don't think the current wording suggests that the TSC always needs to
Yeah.
be actively do something beforehand.
Okay. Yeah. No. I'll propose. I'll propose some text change. Okay. So okay. That is on me. Let me take a note here.
Or I guess I can. Well, the idea is that we'll need to like characterize it similar to how we do propose changes in the project. Like, well, there are like a couple of collaborators involved in the change. They all need to make sure that things have consensus. It does not always need to escalate to the TSC.
Yeah. No, but it's fine. Okay, just it's fine. One thing I wanted to add is the foundation staff is responsible for trademark violation. And it needs to be clear exactly. It needs to be framed in a slightly different way. That's my point. But I'll work on it. I'll wordsmith a little bit and try to provide a suggestion on that. That makes it clear. It's very important that is specified that does not imply that we need to reach a consensus before saying anything publicly. Okay, because then nothing will happen.
I think I will need to reread the document, but I think the document already says somewhere that IP and trademark is like the responsibility of the foundation. The TSC does not, like, you cannot send
Yeah, exactly.
trademark or like that thing to us. Like, it's not up to us.
No, I mean, you mentioned about the enforcement. Okay, you were saying about the enforcement, and the enforcement was is not at all our responsibility. Okay, you said who is monitoring, and the foundation cannot say what is our consensus at any given point in time because that can shift. So okay, I think we are good with this one. I'm going to promote some more text. Okay, and also probably know James as well. Then there is issues 1614. Let's talk about the CI situation. And I don't think there is anything new here. Or is there?
I think the CI has been fairly like it's getting worse from what I can tell from the reliability report. I'm not sure whether it's the tool having some problem, but it does look worse from the reliability report. So if people can take a look.
Sorry, I need to drop for a second. Can somebody keep reading this?
Regarding the CI situation, I think we discussed a long time ago if we could put some money on resolving the issue because I don't think anyone actually wants to work on it.
One thing that I noticed when people actually wanted to work on it was when Richard, no, not Richard, the other Richard, Rich kind of actively encourage people to do this, or like send send some words of appreciation whenever people try to help. I don't think it always needs to come down to money. It will need to come down to like appreciation of your work, which can be money, but can be other things. But
I don't think it's the appreciation per se. Of course, that also is, but I think that somebody's chasing it, and encouraging people to work on it. But yeah, someone needs to do that also. Jacob, you have something?
Yeah, we had talked about this at the previous collab summit. And so I think I had mentioned there, I think one of the reasons that people don't contribute to the fixing the CI trouble is because it seems like a Sisyphean task. Like even if one thing does get fixed, it seems like that's just a drop in the ocean. So I think we need to do something that gives people hope. So if we can show that like this is not merely just a drop in the ocean, that like things are progressing, we just need to move faster than it falls back. I don't know how, but I think that will help.
I remember when, I don't know which version of React it was. I think it was going to React Fibers. They had this graph of, number of failing bugs or, test cases, and it would, slowly go down over time. And that was actually quite interesting to follow. Maybe something like that could feel motivating, that you can see a trend.
We did have that. It was shut down. The website was shut down. Mary used to build a website that tracked this. And I cannot. There used to be a domain that was like live that you can see a graph of this, but it's dead now. We do have the stats from the reliability reports. It's just like constantly 0% green all the time. It's been 0% green for a couple of weeks now, which is why I was mentioning that it's getting worse. It's like 0%. Previously, we were like sometimes we're like 10%. Currently, it's 0% green. So, um, if you want to graph, somebody can kind of build it. We do have the data already. It's just like there's not a graph that you string these data, the existing data together to like have a graph. There's data.
Not to chuck something over the fence, but if the issue is that the website was shut down, we have a website. And if we can set up some kind of like stream or whatever, perhaps the website team can create a page for this to show it. And you mentioned that like it's basically just like 0 and constant. Maybe we can have some kind of integration with, I don't know, Slack or something to sort of automate the job of I forgot who was doing it previously, Rich or Richard, of like, oh my God, yes, thank you, something moved, just to expose that momentum exists. So like, I don't know, I think probably quite a lot of the flaky things that get fixed are Joy. So like, I don't know, it posts in the Node.js core or something channel that says like, hey, Joy fixed a flaky test. And then that gets it visibility. And then people are like, oh, things are happening.
I also think we shouldn't be measuring, number of CI fails or successes. We should just, tag every flaky test as flaky. I know there's been some opposition to this, but I don't see how not tagging them as flaky is helping. And then the graph is just showing the number of tests, number of tests that are flagged as flaky. And the purpose is to get that down to 0. We just have to make the initial work to tag every flaky test as flaky. Otherwise, it's super abstract. I agree with that. And the abstractness of it also kills the motivation to work with
Robert, there is a slight problem with that, okay? Which is that some of the flaky tests are flaky due to host circumstances. So, for example, there is some recurring flaky tests about DNS, about file system watch files, and about sockets and network connectivity. That is absolutely, like, you can never guarantee 100% success. Okay, that will be not possible.
But then we don't mark them as flaky.
Okay, so but you said we mark all of them as flaky.
And all the flaky ones that we want to fix, right?
Okay.
Yeah, sorry, unclear.
Perfect. Okay, Joey.
I think the marking every test as flaky would only work when the test has, when there are like one test case or like single purpose per file. It has recently happened that a test that was marked as flaky got a broken, like someone added a broken test case in a test that's just like there was a timing difference. And when that was marked as flaky, someone adds another test that's like test case inside that's always broken. So they basically just added a broken test and did not realize there was a bug in that because the test was already marked as flaky. So I think that would require some, like we probably need some rule about if we are marking the test as flaky, make sure that it's single purpose, not hiding like 100 test case inside and making out of them basically effectively like being ignored. I think that's currently already happening with, for example, test FSCP on Windows, which is always failing. That test is always failing on Windows. And if we do not break up the test, that means all the CP tests are being ignored on Windows.
I mean, I don't think there's a perfect solution. We have to just live with the limitations of whatever we choose to go with.
Okay, guys, I want to, I think this is good. I want to cover one more issue, then we have a little bit of time. I want to leave 10 minutes for the next for the private section, if it's okay. Yeah. So next issue is issue on the admin repo 990. I opened it. Essentially, what happened was that when the OpenJS code of conduct policies were put in place after the merger, like maybe a year later after from the merger, there was our moderation policy was not updated. And therefore, it mentioned text that was crafted when we still had one foundation. Sorry, a foundation with only one project. And therefore, that was very old, like 8 years old. I brought it in line with what is required for the by the CPC for having our own moderation team, okay, which works quite well. So thank you guys for all the moderation team for all the things that you do. I moved essentially the escalation and appeal path to refer to the documents in the CPC repo as required by the CPC policies. There was a request for clarification by Joey. I opened an issue on the CPC repo to track that question. I have personally no idea. All of the stuff was reviewed by lawyers, so I presume that is okay. But it's a worthwhile ask anyway to verify and validate certain things. So we will look into it, I think. I recommend this thing to land so that at least we can put it in line to the current required processes, because those processes applies anyway. Regarding, there is only one major change that impacts the TSC, which is I moved based on latest experience. I'm relieving. I propose to relieve the moderation team for managing disputes related to TSC members. So in case these happen, this goes to it will be part of the TSC to handle itself, to moderate itself, essentially. So it's over there, okay? Plus, of course, the escalation path that we decided already. Jacob?
I'm not TSC, so I guess take this with a grain of salt. I think we should not do that. The TSC already answers basically only to itself. This would make that problem worse.
This is not true. There is the appeal path that is still present on the all other OpenJS Foundation projects. So it's external. Okay, the fundamental point is the moderation team respond essentially to the TSC in one form or another. So there is a generic conflict of process of how this should happen, and therefore, in case something the TSC cannot govern itself, it's escalated to the CPC, and that's a path exactly for that reason.
But who decides that?
Oh, anybody that is, if somebody that is not, if you look at the CPC documents, okay, there is both an escalation and appeal. So if the TSC doesn't, if the reporter does not feel the TSC has done a good job in handling the report, and there is, they can file an appeal at the OpenJS Code of Conduct team to handle it. So, and essentially it's escalated to a group of people that is absolutely unrelated to the, or partially related at least to the TSC. So there is a lot of different phases, different projects. There are 30 plus projects that participate in the TSC and in the CPC, and that team usually is composed at best by one person by Node.js. So it provides a different frame of discussion. It was designed, by the way, it was designed this way, following the feedbacks from Tierney and a lot of others, people that work with code of conduct issues and so on and so forth in the past. Is not something that came out of thin air. Okay, this has been it's been done like that for ages. Like essentially, it's just we never updated our policies, literally. So I only changed that part because I don't think I have seen the frustration from some of the moderation team, and then when those things happen, and that was probably not something that they want to do again. So essentially. Please, guys, take a look at the issue and so on and so forth. Okay. Okay. Then there is issue 981. I think that there is some discussion happening. I would recommend to table it for GitHub or wait for James to be in.
Yeah, I agree. This is mostly there as an FYI for this comment from James. So once I opened the PR, adding the collaborator directory, he added another proposal. So do take a look and let me know what you think, and we can go ahead with that too. If that seems okay.
Okay, perfect. Having said that, I would wrap up the live stream, and we need to do a little bit of private session. So thank you, guys, and thank you for watching. Thanks everybody for joining, and stay online. Bye-bye. Let me stop.